coming. It's all very predictable, people.
Okay.
Live? Okay, we want to welcome everyone to the council meeting. We have 5 people in attendance. Just for you people that aren't can't see who's here, we have Bob Stewart, Myrna Sopel, Peter Casarello. Did I say that right?
You're right here, you don't even see it.
Inga and Ann they have signs on their seats now. So I want to welcome everyone to council meeting. We'll get this meeting started, so I'll call this meeting to order. As you can see, we have a land matter to be adopted into the agenda. Does anyone else have anything they want to adopt?
Yes, I would like to add bookings of our facilities
Bookings of our facilities.
to the agenda before we go into closed session, like,
Okay.
actually, maybe the earlier the better, I don't know, whatever, put it wherever you want.
Anyone else have anything? If not, then we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Councillor Harker moves. All in favor? Okay, we're good. So we have 2 delegations here tonight. One from the Raymond Wellness Coalition, that's Myrna Sopel, and then Peter Casarello from South Grow. I'm not sure if they've talked to you about it, but we try to keep it at 10 minutes. And if you go a little over, that's fine, but anyway, Myrna, you're up first, please.
Okay.
We welcome you here, both of you.
Hello, good night. Good evening, I guess it would be. I am part of the Raymond Wellness Coalition, which is through the Alberta Healthy Wellness Initiative. Yeah, we've been running for just over a year now. We've formed our own committee, our Wellness Coalition, and there's currently, I think, 6 members on our coalition. So we have been working together on coming up with a community capacity assets tool, action tool, and trying to find out what is available in our community and trying to put it together all in one place. Here's our thing right now. Hopefully everybody can see it. The Town of Raymond Community Assets. So with this, we're looking at the physical facilities that we have available, the skills and the talents that are available in our community, some of the different parks and green spaces, places that people hang out at, can become involved in the community. Let's go down to the next slide. It's a little bit easier than that one. So our first area that we looked at was the gifts and skills, so music, art, and seniors. So we met together in July and we just came up with different ideas and threw them down. And then some of us have added a few different things here and there as we've thought of them. So just different things in the community. Our seniors clubs, our seniors in community housing, all the retired professionals that are willing to help out if we ask them for it. Children's entertainment groups, flowers and gift shops, the game store, ceramics shops, homemade arts and crafts. We have lots of very talented people around, and all the music lessons that are happening. Yeah, so that's to go with that first category. Next, we can move on to our businesses, clubs, and library. Okay, so we have a whole list of different clubs that are here. It was brought to my attention that we forgot about the Lions Club, so we'll definitely make sure we add them in there as well. The seniors, the Chamber of Commerce, the History Society, the Rotary Club, the Eagles, the Ag Society, so all kinds of different things. And this is a working document, so we'll keep adding to it as time goes by, all the different things that happen. These were just things that we were thinking of at the top of our head, so this is great. We have the FCSS Do Crew on there, which is a organization based with the Boys and Girls Club out of Lethbridge. And they meet together in 4 different communities, Raymond being one of them, and they do service projects. So that's for kids in high school. So try to take ownership and leadership of their community. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Thank you. Next, we have our faith-based and cultural groups. So the Baptist Church, the LDS Church, the Mennonite Church, Japanese community, and Hutterite community. And if anybody knows of other groups that we should add to this section, we'd like to hear those as well. Okay, next one. Healthcare and healthy eating. So our hospital auxiliaries, massage therapists, home health care workers, medical clinic, chiropractors, nutritional businesses, and the pharmacies. Yeah, lots of different things there that we've added on. Counseling services as well. Next we go on to our exercise, parks, paths, and theater. So our wonderful theater, our pool, the sports complex, our show choir, our school plays, musical theater. There's a few different people in town that teach those. Our walking paths and our Centennial Park. What's at the bottom of Centennial Park?
This doesn't.
Something park.
It doesn't
Yeah.
render very well.
Oh, probably
it's
that's
Parrot.
Parrot Park.
Parrot.
Parrot Park, probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Parrot Park. We have lots of different playgrounds around town, so those are really nice to have and for the kids to get involved with and families to go and play with. Then we went each month and listed all the different things that we have happening in each month. And these were just off the top of our head again, so there's probably more things that we haven't even thought of yet. But yeah, all the different sports things, the town plays, the school plays, the father-daughter ball, graduation and dances and all kinds of different things there. So as you can see that we're very busy throughout the whole year. This is January to June, and next comes July to December. So again, very busy with all kinds of different things happening. Our next category that we looked at was school and early childhood. So our 3 main schools, elementary, junior high, and high school, the West Winds Alternate School, Homeschool Association, the day homes, the daycare, adult education, and online learning, things that we have for those. Okay, down to the next one. And other community assets. We have so many things on this list. Definitely our emergency preparedness expert. We rely on him for lots of different things. We have information screens and kiosks around town, and the community bulletin boards, the farm safety center, town marquees, lots of different businesses and places around town that provide different resources and assets to our community. So we've put together all of these different lists into an action tool so we can kind of look at it all together as to where we are and where we want to go from here. Our next step will be the Healthy Places action tool. So we're looking at our different settings, our environments, the policies around physical activity and being healthy, our physical activities, social and then economical. And we're working on looking at how can we be healthier in our physical activities, our healthy eating, alcohol reduction, tobacco reduction, UV protection, and cancer screening. And that's the basis for our coalition. So, and we want to provide everybody in our community the opportunity to be healthier in their physical activity, their mental health, and in their healthy eating. So that's where our goals are, and hopefully soon we'll be to a place where we can invite the community to be involved with us and help us out to make some things actually happen. So.
Are you open for some questions?
Sure.
So you said you had 6 members on your board. Who are they?
There's 3 of us here. So Joan and Abe and I, Zach Morrison from FCSS,
Jen,
Faye Geddes from the library,
Jennifer Wild
Jennifer Wild,
from the town.
Karen.
Karen
Oh,
Karen
Karen,
Wild,
sorry,
I'm not
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Karen, yeah.
Wild from the town.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there's 6.
If people want to contact someone, they contact you, who they contact that, they
They
contact
can
Abe?
contact Abe.
And if people wanna join or to be involved, they contact Abe?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're always looking for people, and we are going to be putting more information up on the website about this initiative and kind of what's been done so far, and sharing these things, like the community assets with the rest of the community. It kind of offers that same service as I think a welcome wagon type of thing, or similar kind of service to a welcome wagon thing, and in that it shows people what services we have in town, things that people may not have considered and might be able to access. So we thought it was a good tool to put up on the website.
So Raymond was chosen for this with how many other communities? 6?
I'm thinking
Or
about
something.
6 or 7.
And through FCSS, so we got a grant to actually do this, and it's a 3-year
Three-year grant.
3-year initiative. So, you know, the first year we're just getting everything, figuring out what we've got, and then after that, then we take the assets that we have, and then we decide what we're gonna do to make some changes, so.
It's nice to see them all listed in one document.
Yeah, and actually, there's
a lot.
another document that's awesome, the one that has our population, the number of people that speak this language and that language, and ethnicities, and I thought you were gonna show that too. That's a really good one. I
That one's
like
a
that
really
one.
good one too.
That will be really
Really,
interesting.
very, it's very interesting.
Through the same initiative?
Through the same initiative, Abe had put that one together by using the information from the different census records, and yeah, it has so many amazing stats in there. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's
wow.
really good to know all those things,
Mhm.
you know? Gives you an idea of who we are.
So how did you get involved, Myrna?
I work for FCSS,
Okay.
and Zach's my boss, and said, "Hey, you live in Raymond. Let's get involved." So I was more than happy to get involved.
Good.
So
You're involved.
I was more than happy to be involved with it. So.
Good, good. Well, that's a good group.
Mhm.
So are you doing this in all the communities that FCSS Berensrica Warner serves?
No, not right now. Right now, this is the second phase of the Alberta Healthy Communities Initiative. So about 5 years ago, I think they started the original ones in different areas around the province. Fort McLeod being one of those, Fort McLeod or Pitch Creek? I think it's Fort McLeod.
Fort McLeod, I think, yeah.
And so they started with improving their community as well as all over the province. And so this is the second phase of it, so they have another section of communities that are involved. I think Brooks is one of our other new communities involved.
Can you tell us where the other communities are going with the information, what they're doing with it, how they're using it?
Some of the things that have happened in, I think Wembley, they did a bucket garden initiative that they were able to, when COVID first happened, they were able to get a whole bunch of volunteers and some donations, and they put bucket gardens out to 100 different people so that they could grow gardens to help take care of themselves during COVID, which I thought was a great idea.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that happen around here. Another community, they did COVID commandos. So they got a whole bunch of donations, and they put together care packages and went and dropped them off randomly at different places. They kept a list of who they dropped them off to, but places that families that were in need, that they connected with teachers, they connected with church leaders and community members to say, okay, who needs some help, and we're able to put together these kids. So I thought that was pretty cool. Some places they have done sunscreen stations. So if they have different outdoor activities, they'll provide sunscreen for anybody to come and use. Or they'll provide water stations. They'll bring a big truck in, and you can fill up your water bottle and stay hydrated during outdoor events. So some of those kind of
Cool.
things are really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Myrna? Well, we really appreciate you coming.
Cindy here.
Oh, Ann,
2 resources you forgot, Studio 8 and the dentist.
Studio 8 was in there.
Studio 8's in there somewhere. Did we not get the dentist in there?
I didn't see the dentist. That's a good catch.
So we'll make sure we put those in there too.
That was actually in the stats that Abe put together,
Mhm.
which is
There-
really,
there's
really
dental.
very interesting. He did all the businesses, all the services, and it's all,
Mhm.
everything's outlined, and that's really good.
I'd love to take credit for that, but it wasn't me.
Who did
It
it?
was Alberta Health put that together for us.
Oh,
Oh,
there you
okay,
go.
but that is a really good document.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, we need to spend more time looking
I
at that
think they're in
document,
here,
'cause
they're
that's a
just
good-
wasn't
document.
formatting properly on the
yeah.
screen,
That's
so.
correct.
Cause I'm like, I'm sure I thought of those ones, but, perfect.
Well, we really appreciate you coming and helping us to understand this better, so
You're welcome, thank you.
keep up the good work.
Thanks, Myrna.
Thank you.
So Peter, I guess you're on next
Yes, sir.
from South Grove.
Okay, you want that up now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
C-A-S-S-U-R.
S-U-R-E-L-E.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want to control this?
Yeah, am I able to?
Yeah, you should be able
Okay. Well, thank you very much, counselors, for letting me come here today. I saw it someplace. No, now it's gone.
Make that full slide?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I'll just tell you to advance it if you don't mind me.
I don't mind.
All right. Anyways, thank you for having me here today. My name's Peter Casarella. I'm the Executive Director of the South Grove Regional Initiative, which is one of Alberta's 9 regional economic development alliances, and I am your employee, along with the other 27 now members of the South Grove Regional Initiative. We just had the Village of Foremost vote to join us a couple of weeks ago. So they've just come on board. They're particularly interested in the stuff that we're doing to help rural Alberta, the villages, and the counties get broadband completed for them. I'm here today as part of our strategic mandate, basically, to get out and make sure we're connecting with our members on a face-to-face basis. I've got a mandate from my board to go to half of our members every year and report directly to council about what we've been up to over the last year, what we're working on, and what's coming. I'm sensitive of the time, so I'm just going to zip through things if you want to cruise down there, Abe. Our mission, for anybody who cares to review it, and the next slide is just a review of some of the accomplishments that we've had over the past 17 years that we've been in business. And the next slide, Abe, is a list of a lot of the different projects we engaged in over the 2019 leading into 2020 years. It was a crazy busy year. It was a very, very different year than my first full year at South Grove. The first full year, we were well funded. We had been set up for success by a board that had been very careful with finances. And it was basically like I got to dust off a Ferrari that was being kept in the garage and drive it like mad, which was extraordinarily fun. Last year, halfway into the year, we ran into the provincial election, and a lot of the stuff that we did was just stopped dead in its tracks because we had so many partnerships going on with the provincial government, and some of my contractors literally were not allowed to do anything because the government decided to shut everything down while they reviewed programs and reassessed and reevaluated. And just when things started opening up again, then we had the COVID-19 crisis hit as well, and it's been an interesting year to say the least. One of those programs, for example, was our on-farm energy program that we've been running for ag and forestry since 2017. It's been a really good program that's paid the organization money to deliver education and grant assistance to large-scale agricultural producers in 25 counties across southern Alberta. That program alone has netted hundreds of millions of dollars of investment of mostly federal money into our region. We have consistently outperformed, particularly down in the 5 counties that represent South Grove, consistently outperformed other areas of the country who are competing for the same pot of money. I'm unfortunately losing that program now because of government cutbacks. And our contractor, Vern Steinborn, who owns 3 trade tickets and has been successfully running that program and helping producers secure the money they need to stay competitive and efficient. August 31st was his last day. So that's been a development that's come along. We had a lot of wins over the last year, though. South Grove believed in getting better transportation infrastructure for southern Alberta. The Highway 3 Twinning Development Association, that's been around for over 20 years, had been making, well, no progress on getting it done. And over a year ago, they were at a crossroads. They wanted to go big and they wanted to take this thing to the next level, but their communities were losing faith. The Southgrove board voted to help them out, to take on the administration of their association and to see if we could put the voice of the ECDEV community and all of the communities of Southern Alberta behind that. Our friends Alberta Southwest joined us, so we had a full 40 communities saying this is important to us. We hired a part-time person to work on it who works for me, and you know the results. We got 46 kilometers of twinning included in the stimulus package a short while ago. We also worked hard to secure the funding for Exhibition Park, because when we looked around and profiled the region's agri-food assets, which are the foundation of our economy, we realized that there's two things missing: world-class exhibition space for what is a world-class industry and needed transportation infrastructure. So, as of the spring, feeling pretty good about those two wins. There's a lot of people who take credit for them, but Southgrove pulled hard and we did our part, bringing the voice of 170,000 people and all of our 27 communities to those projects to support them. We've also made significant progress on broadband in the last year, which directly impacts conversations that Raymond's going to have. So Raymond's had fiber for a long time, since Greg Robinson and Pete Lovering and formal iterations of Southgrove worked hard to support Raymond's bid to get that in. We did the big cost-benefit analysis of Alberta rural broadband that was delivered in 2019, and that project has changed the conversation in the entire province of Alberta about the value of rural broadband. It's no longer, my goodness, how are we going to afford this? The conversation's changed to, my goodness, we have to get this now. We can't afford not to get this. And I know that that's particularly relevant to Raymond because the County of Warner is having the same conversation on the backs of our project that we put out, specifically told by the Reeve that that project changed the conversation for them. And there's interesting opportunities to partner. And a strong rural area that's got strongly connected broadband networks benefits the town of Raymond as much as it benefits the entire Southgrove region. Being able to get 300 megs download speeds to the farmyard will be a game changer for Southern Alberta Ag, allowing all of those large producers out there to participate in the technology that we hear about at trade shows and looks really cool and promises all these big returns, but nobody can actually use it efficiently, and it's useless to the farmers because you need 300 megs down to the farmyard in order to actually make it a feasible operation that you can deploy across your land. So my mandate right now on the broadband front, with that project in my hat and specific profiles of all the remaining Southgrove communities that don't have high-speed internet, and also a matching program that the Southgrove board put forward, $3,000 per community to say, hey, listen, if you throw some money into getting a plan up and going so that your village can get to high speed or your county can get to high speed, we're going to work with you on this. And I also have a mandate as a staff person to assist them personally. And of course, Raymond, well, you guys have high speed. You have fiber to the home. It's always the throwback to the Rita story of, you know, we raise the water level for everybody and everybody floats up. The whole boat goes up. A stronger region means a stronger Raymond. We're more competitive on the global stage, more money flows into everybody's pockets. Now, there's an awful lot else that we've got done. I know particular to Curtis's interests, we've completed the Peaks to Prairies electric vehicle network. Unfortunately, we never got to have the grand ribbon cutting once all 20 stations were installed. And unfortunately, Raymond didn't get one of those stations, but we're going to get you guys one eventually, I'm sure, right? But it's made the entire region future-proof now. We can be a player in the electrical vehicle market. And with electrical vehicles increasing by, they're doubling every year in the province of Alberta, this is going to be a major consideration and part of our lives in the years to come. It also makes us uniquely positioned to get some cool new tourism opportunities too, as people who generally are wealthy and driving electric vehicles are going where there are chargers. Right now, we've got a large skills study that's on the go right now. It's a partnership with Lethbridge College. Basically, we've known there's a skills problem in Southern Alberta for a long time. We have had a labor shortage for a lot of our key industries, and the nature of a lot of the jobs in our core professions is changing rapidly and is no longer aligned with the programs that we have right here in Southern Alberta to either train young kids who might want to stay close to home or retrain workers who are coming out of sunset industries like, let's face it, oil and gas. And we needed to know specific data to support the retooling of training programs at Lethbridge College and the University of Lethbridge. Now, the data we're getting out of there, we had some really good consultants. We landed a big grant and we've hired the right people. They were able to help us pivot in the middle of the COVID crisis. so that our data isn't worthless as soon as we come out the other side of it. So we're going to have some really good data on what the skills mismatches are, what some of the future needs of industry in Southern Alberta particularly are, and that's going to help places like Lethbridge College get new programs in place so that our kids can come from places like Raymond, McGrath, Cardston, go to Lethbridge College, get the right skills that get them jobs here in Southern Alberta, so that number one, we don't have to import so many people from elsewhere, and our kids can stay close to home and they can have good paying jobs that are future-proofed too. Now, there's an awful lot of other stuff that we have been working on that I'd be happy to go over. You have a very long list there, but I'll move through the presentation. Abe, if you want to click through, there's this next slide about just some tangible returns that you can see on the ground here.
Hold on, there we go.
Yeah, I've covered most of those there. And the next slide is a list of some of the big research projects that we've done over the years that are informing investments here in Southern Alberta. The next slide is a review of our strategic plan, which is due this next spring to come to completion. And we're almost there. We've done pretty good on what was a very ambitious strategic plan. And frankly, in the face of a lot of huge shakeups that have disrupted our projects, I'm talking about government relations, of course. And the next slide is kind of a list over of 2020-21's priorities, economic recovery. The economic recovery project that we put together in partnership with Economic Development Lethbridge, that was a real save for the win, and I got to give a lot of props to Economic Development Lethbridge, because on our own we could have not have pulled that off. Putting together a one-stop shop, putting together the hotline that anybody throughout the entire region could call to get the advice of a lawyer, of a financier, of an insolvency person, any of the above, HR advice, that kind of thing. And our stats show that 25% of the calls into that hotline have been from out in the region, not in from the city of Lethbridge. So that feels like good value for our people, for the $10,000 that our board put in to match EDL's investment as well. The physical location in Lethbridge is now open for anybody who needs to book an appointment to talk to any kind of an expert. Information is available on their website, or I can send out more information about that as well. So if you have any friends, business owners in the town who need some advice from a professional for their business or for their personal financial situation because of this crisis, send them our way. We've got help and experts they can talk to. And then, of course, the other things there.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll skip through the projects of note, things we're working on for the coming year. If we jump down, so this year's challenge is budget. I've sent out a briefing to your CAO, and I'm sure he'll be broaching it with your community. So we managed not to have all of our funding from the government cut. We made a very loud noise together with all the other REITs, and we managed to only get a 50% cut instead of 100% cut. That means, unfortunately, though, that we are unsustainable as it stands. And this is happening at a time when there is a very low appetite to increase per capitas for things like South Grow amongst our communities, because we're all taking a huge financial hit. Particularly our rural members are looking at a massive hit coming up if these assessment changes go through. So that is a challenge that their board has in front of them that they're going to be having conversations about, and they've pushed a document to your council to discuss what's Raymond's view on the issue is and where we want to see. Keep in mind, we do have reserves in the bank. The board voted this last year to fund our operations at the level we are accustomed to from our reserves. So it does mean that we're pulling out about $50,000 a year from reserves to keep funding our projects and our partnerships. So that eventually will drain the budget dry, but we have some time to figure this out. We have an enviable position there. The next slide there, Abe. Whenever I come to community, I like to just talk about some brief opportunities that I see for the community. Number one, this has always been Raymond's strength, and I have to hand it to the people in the past who set Raymond down this road. Being the best bedroom community in the region was a very smart move, and doubling down on that identity and then investing in the amenities that will provide that. You will continue to have community growth being this close to a large city like Lethbridge and offering that small town feel where families feel safe, particularly at this time, and that is going to keep this town stable and moving forward. And I really believe that your investments are going to pay off. So keep doubling down on that identity, work with what you got, right? Urban fringe partnerships. Warner County, I know there's a lot of stuff wrapped up in relationships with Warner County, but they've shown an increasing interest in economic development, more so than I've seen in the past. And with Raymond having really, really good services, there are opportunities to take advantage of the fact that Warner County's got the land right outside the town in order to provide services and do a split revenue sharing kind of deal with them there. There's definite opportunities in that direction. And of course, amenity and service growth to support your bedroom community development. And tourist product development. Tourists are not going anywhere. There's 1.5 million people right up the road who are looking for experiences and things to do. This is an opportunity for all of Southern Alberta. If you're able to support local business owners to get a good product in place, or look at building one yourself. I look at the thing that's happening down just outside of Cardston, where Charmed Playhouse is putting that Charmed Playhouse Resort. That's awesome. That is going to be extremely successful. And they've partnered with a private business down there, the campground, in order to pull it off. That's the kind of thing that is going to be a successful long-term business with a captive audience, at least for the foreseeable future, to get that business established. And of course, rural broadband joint project with Warner County. So Warner County, depending on how their conversation around assessment goes, because everything hinges on money, they realize they need to get broadband done. There are viable options on the table to actually do it. And every time you can bring a partnership with a rural jurisdiction with a urban jurisdiction to a rural broadband deployment, you make it far more palatable. Especially if you've already got the assets to just extend networks, and it's just a matter of popping up towers and deploying those mesh networks that can get that signal deployed in an efficient manner. And I understand just conversations I've had today that you guys are already looking in this direction, so it's extremely fortuitous. And of course, on that file particularly, I have a mandate from the board to assist, and happy to have any conversations that would help that. That's my presentation today. We've got a lot on the go, and I love talking about what I do, so I'm happy to take questions.
That was very interesting. Everybody be thinking of some questions that you want to be asking him. You've been very busy, very ambitious, as you presented. I was interested in what you said. You had some reserves set up. That's very intriguing that you would have some reserves so you can keep on going. I don't know how long that'll keep you going. 5 years?
5 years, that's 50,000 a pop. Boy.
Yeah, we got about $296,000 in reserves.
That's great.
Some of those reserves are allocated, like we've got our broadband matching fund, for example. It's $3,000 a community. It's unlikely that all of our communities are going to tap into it, but it could account for about $50,000 there. Things like that. There's considerations, but emergencies come along. When COVID-19 hit, the board voted to take the $10,000 in matching from our reserves to put it in there. But
Well, that
we
was
can keep going
wise.
for a while.
That was wise of the past leaders to have some reserves set aside. I liked when you had we're the best bedroom community. I thought that was awesome for us, because we do feel that. This is exactly what we're trying to do, is make ourselves an attractive community for people to live in, to work somewhere else. We don't have a lot of work here, so.
And on that idea, your comment in the second to last slide, Raymond's success is the best ideal bedroom community has not been played out. What do you mean by that? Just that we haven't wrung everything out of it yet?
No, I don't think you've wrung everything out of it. I think there's more you can do. That's not a knock against the community. I think it's that you have an accelerating level of success, right? You've passed the 4,000 population threshold. I was talking with Greg about this before this, and we were just hanging out. I come from Didsbury, and it was after Didsbury hit about 4,000 people that it really started to take off. You got a critical mass of ratepayers who demand certain services. I anticipate you've seen a little bit of that energy in the past few years when it's suddenly become easier to track things like a Dairy Queen and other various amenities that give people more options right here in town, where Lethbridge truly becomes a place where they just go to work, but they come home to have their life, and they can get fast food here. They don't have to stop in Lethbridge on the way out of town to get fast food. They can get it here. They can go to a games shop in downtown Raymond, that sort of thing. It's a critical mass that plays out, and I'm sure you've already had these discussions around the table. As the town gets bigger, the people are going to want more things as part of that. This is our home story. Yeah, not quite played out. There's other fun things to do. There's low-hanging fruit, right? Like just from simple things like planting a lot of trees, getting that green belt around the town, sort of, options.
Good. It's good to hear it from another person, instead of from us and from our administration. And then the last thing I wrote down was your Warner County and us working on a joint project. I think that's a great idea. I can't wait to talk to them about that. So I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be something besides broadband. But I mean, it'll be interesting to working with them on things.
Yeah, and I should put out the broadband final mile project that we put out. It's $3,000 for any South Grove community. It's not just those who don't yet have broadband funds, and it's for planning and developing of that final solution for broadband, right? So, I mean, if you wanted to sit down with Warner County and say, okay, let's work together. We'll use the fact that we have a backhaul in order to get service out to huge swaths of Warner County. You can leverage both. Well, first of all, you got to convince Warner County to become a South Grove member. Then they have access to the fund. And then you can access $6,000 that you could leverage against your own funds from the two partners towards a consultant to plan it out.
Good. That's something that we can put on the back burners, that we can try to get going with our county.
It also more than compensates you for your membership fee as well.
Yeah, good.
So,
Anyway, anyone else have any questions for Peter?
Peter, do you know anything about, I've been hearing rumblings of a friend in that, and then they're talking about some Australian company doing open pit mining all down, do you know anything about that?
yeah, so this has been in the works for a long time. There's 3 mines that are in various levels of development for the Crow's Nest Pass. Very controversial.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
From an economic development standpoint, a massive win for the Crow's Nest Pass if they bring back all of that energy there. One of the mines, well, 2 of the mines are actually fairly far developed in their going ahead stage. Like, it looks like they are a done deal, they will happen. It is a metallurgical mine that is being sold overseas. So that means they're not using it for energy and carbon emissions and everything like that here in Canada. So the biggest controversy, I think, on that front is that a lot of the front ranges of the mountains out north of the Crow's Nest Pass, there, kind of the Racing Horse Creek area, are ground zero for open pit mining, and it will just be stripped down. Massive amount of economic activity. It will really, really, really help our efforts to get Highway 3 twinned. Long-term negatives to tourism, for example. So,
Well, I've been hearing about some pollution because of the, there's something that when you mine, it hits something and it releases a pollutant that's gonna affect the water. That's just what my friends tell me.
yeah,
and
well,
I'm
we
like,
all know that mining is a mixed bag. Mining produces a lot of pollutants, and it is inevitable that we'll get into the headwaters, and it will negatively impact our water supply. And our water supply is critical for everything we do down here.
Absolutely.
So this is definitely one of those two-edged sword issues. It's outside of our jurisdiction as South Grove. It's definitely square in the backyard of Alberta Southwest, our good friends.
Okay.
I have split opinions on it myself. I'm
Yeah,
sure
I just
we'll
wondered
speak
if you knew anything about it. I was just talking to him today and I said, this fellow's from South Grove's coming today, maybe you know something about it, so.
Yeah, I'm
Good
happy
to
to.
know.
I'm happy to
Yeah.
tell you more if you need.
Yeah,
more.
I will have them contact you. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Peter? If not, it was very informative. We thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll be talking, I'm sure, through Greg with
Yeah.
you, and Ken, you're on South Grove, right? Yep, and with Ken. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Oops. So we'll move on. We have approval of our minutes, item number 4. We have the August 18th, 2020 minutes, council minutes. Any discussion on these?
I'll move to approve those.
Councillor Harker moves to approve the minutes, the council minutes. Any discussion at all? And all in favor? Okay. And we have our our committee minutes from August 25th.
None of those.
Counselor Fromm moves those. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, we'll move on to the financial report. Thank you, Peter. Accounts payable number 1, any questions on these?
I have a question just that's on both of them, but the Shinnecock Library July to December payment, 17,000, and then the next batch, there was another one for 7,000 or something. Is that just another month or the I'm
Part
just
of
wondering
it
about why.
is, the 17,000 is half of the town's cost to Shinnemarch. The 7,000 is the portion that comes out of the library budget's money to Shinnemarch, half of it.
Okay, thank you.
What Ann said.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Thanks,
Okay,
Ann.
Thank you, because I had that question too. That's a big sum coming out of our budget. And your budget for that. Any other questions on accounts payable? Need a motion to accept it then?
I'll move.
Counselor Heggie makes that motion. Then all in favor? Okay, good. Items for discussion, 6.1, bylaw 1092-20, the rescinding bylaw, our second reading. Curtis, you want to talk about this a little bit?
I think in past weeks, our Legislative Services Director, Abe Tinney's explained this quite well. We've just gone through our myriad of bylaws that we have on the books and tried to find ones that are either no longer relevant due to changes in legislation or no longer relevant due to the fact that the borrowing has since been completed. And just to make things cleaner so that people can actually find a bylaw that they're looking for instead of scrolling through 100, you can maybe only just go through 90, it looks like, if we got rid of 10. So that's the intent. It's just part of our process. The bylaw policy committee is going through to make sure that all of our bylaws have been reviewed. We don't want them being any older than 10 years without being reviewed, and we have some work to do. So
On the second reading of that.
So Councillor Fromm moves second reading. Any discussion from anyone? If not, all in favor? Okay, good.
I'll move third reading.
Councillor Harker moves third reading. Any discussion? Then all in favor? Okay, that was quick and easy.
Yeah.
6.2, the bylaw 1093-20. Curtis, you want to talk on this one?
You can do that if you want, Curtis.
go for it.
Okay, so we were actually scheduled to have first reading of this last council meeting, but inadvertently put a draft copy up on the agenda. But we have talked about this bylaw previously, at council and at the bylaw and policy committee, and in accordance with section 555 and 556 of the MGA, we have to have a bylaw giving bylaw officers authority to enforce bylaws, and there also needs to be provisions for misuse of powers, penalties, and an appeal process. And so this bylaw is on the agenda tonight for first reading, and it's called the Bylaw Enforcement Officer Bylaw.
Okay, we have talked about this several times. So I guess we need a motion from someone.
I was ready to move first reading last time, so I'll move first reading this time. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, Councillor Fromm moves first reading. Any discussion? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, moving right along. 6.3, the Animal Regulations Bylaw Amendment. Go ahead, is that you, Abe?
Yep, so we have an updated map on here. We did publish this to the town via the website and via Facebook. There hasn't been a tremendous amount of time since we posted it. It was just last week, last Wednesday or Thursday. But there have been no comments from the posts. As we're entertaining the idea of updating the map and the zoning areas. We did also send letters to Stonegate residents to inform them that in the new updates, Stonegate, as it previously looked on the previous map, was in Zone 2. In the new updates, it would be in Zone 1 and not eligible for animal permits. I received one phone call from someone who said that they thought Stonegate was allowed to have animal permits, specifically chickens. And this individual said they had actually obtained a permit in the past, and it looks like they probably had, and I explained to them you probably shouldn't have. And we talked about what the policy and bylaw committee is doing right now, and they're going to be reviewing an actual backyard chicken hen program. I said that's not a guarantee to completely resolve your concern at this time, because that's still in the planning phases, but I did inform them that was on the agenda for that committee. I also received support from several other residents for a chicken program, so a backyard chicken program. But I have not received very strong opposition at all to this map and these proposed changes. It's on the agenda for second reading tonight. Council can pass second reading and send it back out for advertisement if they feel like there's not been enough time, or it can pass third reading as well tonight and approve these changes.
So we need a motion to pass second reading. And then I think I agree with Abe, I think it maybe needs to go back out.
Yeah, I'll move second reading, but yeah, maybe we should have it go back out before we do third,
Yeah, I agree.
probably. Get a little more time.
We're not trying to rush this past anybody.
Yeah.
So we have a motion on the floor for second reading. Any discussion? And I'll call the vote. All in favor? Okay.
Get a motion to table third reading then.
Do we need to
I'll move that we table third reading.
allow it at least 2 weeks till next
Yeah.
council?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to table third reading. Any discussion on this? Then all in favor? Everybody's pretty quick tonight, not much discussion. Okay, 6.4, the waste management bylaw amendment.
So I'm looking for a motion to table second reading. I'd rather not do second reading tonight. I talked to municipal affairs yesterday, and I had a concern in the back of my head about removing some of these provisions from the bylaw. And in speaking with municipal affairs, they suggested that that policy, some of it at least, should be still connected to the bylaw and not be completely removed. Because once you remove it from the bylaw, you have no way to enforce it, specifically issue fines.
That's nice to know.
Yep, and so, by and large, the general rule of thumb is if you have a program that affects the rest of the town, and you want to have fees attached to that program, and you wanna have provisions attached on how your residents are supposed to abide by that program, it should be in a bylaw. If there are administrative processes in there, they can be removed from the bylaw, and we have both in that policy. So what I will do is go back to not back to the drawing board, but I will refresh the changes accordingly and bring it back for second reading when it's ready.
Okay.
So you're just gonna take out the fee structure from the bylaw, is that what you're saying? Like,
No, we have
do it
a
separately? or
we have
is
a
that what you're saying?
fine violation in there, that stays in there, but as soon as we remove all of the guidelines for example, what you're allowed to put in your bin, we were proposing to pull a lot of that stuff out,
Oh, okay.
then you can't enforce that.
Removing our
Okay.
teeth
Yeah.
to
I see.
reinforce
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
tabling of second reading.
Great, I get that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, everybody understand? Okay, I'll call for the vote, all in favor?
It's a good catch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you should have caught, I maybe should have caught it in the first place, but we caught it before it went to third.
That's good.
So that's good.
Well,
That's
that- Yeah, that is good, cause, so 6.4.1, the third reading, we have to table that one too, or don't we have to? Cause we tabled second?
Sure, let's do that too, because it's on the agenda. So.
Need a motion to table third reading?
I'll table third reading.
Counselor Harker? All in favor? Okay. 6.5, Raymond Irrigation Districts and the Town of Raymond Stormwater Conveyance Agreement.
So a few months ago, I brought to your attention that the Raymond Irrigation District was looking to have an agreement signed with the town of Raymond that basically put into practice what we've already been doing, of discharging water from the north part of town into their irrigation system, and trying to quantify how that would look as far as maintenance, as far as who takes care of what. And so I reviewed a draft a couple of times. I reviewed it with the executive director of Raymond Irrigation District as well. We brought a draft to council. You reviewed it. You requested me to kind of seek legal counsel. I got that legal counsel and I worked it out, brought it back to you, and you guys said, work it out between you and the executive director of the Raymond Irrigation District based on the concerns that were raised by our legal department, or our legal representative. And so I did meet with the irrigation district. We did go over some of the concerns. Some changes were made, and I have attached attachments 1 and 2 of that agenda that shows kind of that legal correspondence. And the third attachment there is the revised draft that I am comfortable with based on what the legal representatives recommended and suggested, and what the Raymond Irrigation District was comfortable in making those adjustments. And so I'm bringing this back to you as was requested, and just wanting to know if you have any concerns. If not, we're looking for a motion just to enter into that agreement with the Raymond Irrigation District that basically will outline, where and how we're discharging stormwater into their irrigation works.
Okay, does anyone have any concerns?
I think it was a good exercise. It just makes it a better agreement, doesn't it? And do you have any concerns now, especially with the part in red that came back after the review with Jason?
No, I mean, it depends on how far you want to go. You can, try and preempt everything, but it still needs to be a working document, and we do have to take into consideration the concerns of the irrigation district, which have their own legal perspectives. And so it might not have met all of the needs that our legal representation were recommending, but it's satisfied it enough to, I think, that the chances for liability are very low. The risk mitigation steps we've taken have brought the document to a point where I think we're very comfortable in signing it. I don't believe it'll be a massive financial obligation on the town of Raymond, just based on our experience with the Sterling Drain Agreement, which has been in place since the 60s, I believe.
So did this come in effect because of the South Drainage project, or was it kind of?
This is a little, this might have brought it to the attention of the irrigation district's perspective to have a conversation with the town a bit more. It didn't come from our perspective. None of the South Drainage water is affected by this agreement. That goes into a different channel.
Okay.
This is the flood water, the storm drainage water that'll go kind of through town, and that discharges either west and then north of town, or through the culvert that's in the railway line that we've been talking about, trying to get access to lower, expand the ditch, and add extra retention so we don't flood out Sterling.
Oh, okay.
That's quickly if something were to happen.
Yeah,
So.
I just wondered if it was a South Drainage project that we were,
No, it's related but not related.
yeah, okay.
I think this shows good faith and good neighbors to me. I'm comfortable with it.
And Jason Miller has been great to work with, the new manager of the Raymond Irrigation District. They've done a
Has
very
Gordy
good job.
stepped down completely? Is he
He's
out
in the process.
He's retired, I think, next week or something.
next week?
Yeah,
Good.
that's what he told me.
What's his last day?
What's
Put
that?
signs up that said he retired, so.
Oh, there you go.
Last time I saw him,
But
he
is
was in
he ever
shorts,
gonna
so
let
I
go?
think he's doing good. So,
He's gonna be retired.
yeah, this does show good faith between the two of you. If you're comfortable with it, then I'm comfortable too, so.
So if that's the case, we're just looking for a motion to direct administration to enter into the agreement with the Raymond Irrigation District as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Councilor Peters makes that motion. Any discussion on this? Anybody?
I agree with that.
And all in favor? Okay, good. We'll move on. 6.6, the booking of town facilities. Councilor Higgy.
Yeah, oh, spoke like that. Yes, just trying to think where to start here. This has been brought to my attention quite a while ago, by one group, but I didn't bring it to myself because I thought I was a conflict of interest with that group. Because my wife belonged to that group, so I didn't. I told them that if they had concerns to come do a delegation, and they have yet to do that. But recently, it has been brought to my attention by 3 different groups in our town that they feel that they feel that there's a conflict of interest in our theater and how it is booked and who it is booked through. And they have had, I'll just read what I have here. Be easier. Okay, there are a few organizations in town that feel they haven't been treated fairly when booking the theater. They have tried to book for certain dates and have been told that they have to wait to see what dates a different group wants, even after they were told it's done on a first come first served basis. They have also indicated that they have had the theater booked for certain dates and were told later that they had to change their dates because this other group needed those dates for their activities. These organizations, they believe that they are, there's a conflict of interest with the individual doing the bookings is deeply involved with that organization, and that also the facility and who is always given priority. They feel that maybe it would be easier for the town and for the community if things were done by one individual. What they mean by that is all of our facilities, like you have to phone this person to book Victoria Park and this person to book the ballparks and this person to book theater. And so their suggestion is why don't we just have one person that the town can put on the website for any bookings of our facilities, phone this one person. It'd simplify things. It would take the load off some of the upper administration who we all know are working very hard and are spread really thin. And this might just relieve some of the pressure that they feel. But one example was a group booked the theater 6 months in advance, and I think it was 3 months later, we're told they had to change the dates because this other group needed a theater. To me, that shouldn't happen. Once you book it, it should be booked.
Especially if it's done on a first come first served
Yeah,
basis.
and they're being told it's done on first come first served basis, but when they go to book it, they said, okay, we'll have to check this other group to make sure they're not using it before we can give you those dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very
So,
helpful.
it could be a conflict of interest, and I just wanted to bring it up and just kind of get where your guys' thoughts are on it.
That's very interesting. Is there more than one group that's having trouble? with
There's
this?
2 or 3, yeah, that have had troubles.
You wonder why they're not planning, their calendars aren't into more detail, so they have to wait like that and then try to bump you later.
Well, and sometimes they're told that they have to wait to find out the schedule of this other group before they can get those dates, and then they're not being told for like 3 weeks if they can have those dates or not, so they're sitting in limbo for like 3 weeks,
So
not knowing if they get those dates or not.
Curtis, what
And
do
they're
you
trying to
know?
organize their events and stuff with that, so, and maybe, I don't know, it just makes sense to me that we have one person do all the bookings.
Yeah.
There's no confusion to the town of who to call and who not to call and stuff, and I don't know if that would make it easier. Seems like it would to me, but
So I haven't heard anything about this, so if Councilor Hague would like to share with me some details afterwards, I can try and find the other side of the discussion as well, so.
Okay, that might help. Yeah, we want to try to help everybody have a fair
Yeah.
chance at booking, but maybe you should need to talk with Curtis after.
okay.
We have one question from the
From the peanut gallery?
peanut gallery.
Actually, we're one of the groups that had a problem. Last year for Aggie Days, we brought a group out of Ontario to do a farm safety presentation. We did 2 shows at the elementary, and we're gonna do the 3rd one at the theater. 6 months in advance, we booked the theater. Made sure we had it all done. 2-3 months beforehand, we get told, nope, there's a musical group that has a booking, and they bounced us. So we were a nonprofit charity doing a community service. They were financially grouped for their own benefit financially. Curtis, why you didn't hear about it? Pam wouldn't let me come. She dragged me back in the car.
He was held back.
Oh, I was totally held back.
That's very interesting, yeah, it's,
Yeah, that
But we
should
should
never
stop
happen.
saying that it's first come, first served if it isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
if we have a hierarchy of who gets first choice, we should
Then we
just
need to
state
be
that.
upfront with that. We have to say that then.
And that very well may be true, and we can definitely look into this. I think this is something that, there's always gonna be more than one side of the story, and I think in future, this is the kind of thing that can just be done internally. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's something that needs to be voiced at a council meeting, because it's something that we can, it's an administrative process that we
Yeah,
can
I
do.
agree.
And if there's a concern about something like this, you can just let us know, and we can look at it.
okay, you'll look at it and get
Yeah,
back
for
to
sure.
council.
We can bring it back
For
to
sure.
council for an update if you'd like, but I think it's,
For sure.
I mean, we're,
Perfectly capable.
well, it's not so much that we're making pointed accusations without an individual's ability to respond.
And I don't know who that individual is, but if
Yeah.
that happened to be the individual who became the one person to book all the facilities, that wouldn't be a solution.
And I
No,
I
so
think
there has
that's
to
an
be a
opportunity where we
solution.
could have that discussion internally, and we could come to a solution just as equitably as this process, so.
Sounds good.
Good
Okay.
plan.
Mayor,
Councillor Foss, please.
the only thing I'd add to that is that if we do come to a resolution, like a standard practice, I would love to see that captured in the policy so that it's sort of codified in a way
That's a good point.
and predictable.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could do that. I think Curtis just made some notes, so for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into it, so this is the first I've heard, so thank you
Great.
for bringing it to our attention.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on that? If not, we'll move to committee reports. And we don't have anybody had anything written down for committee reports, so. I
That's
know
been
my,
a hard habit for me to develop.
I did have a meeting last night. I didn't have time to put it in here. Peace officers, we all got together and we are, can we say officially a commission now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did all of our information as far as signing authority and stuff, and got everything straightened out with the bank, so we're going forward,
good,
so,
Cool.
Good.
yeah, it's all very positive.
great. Anyone else have something to add or anything to add on this? If not, then we need a motion to accept committee report.
I'll move to accept the report.
Okay, that was moved by Councillor Harker. All in favor? Okay, correspondence. Some interesting correspondence. I think I was really interested with Mary Ann Kittle's correspondence.
Did
Curtis.
she have the wrong
I'm-
west? Should it have been 200 west instead of 100 west?
I'm not sure on that either. Curtis, do you know about this? Or can
I-
you show us a map on this?
It must be 200 west, corner of the elementary school to 400 north. That's all I could.
Yeah,
Makes sense
that's
of it.
what I was thinking too.
I thought it was 100 north going west. Out
That
to,
could be
um,
out towards her place.
I think the
Yeah.
addresses are mixed up, but.
Yeah, okay.
going out towards Bridge Crossing, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't think so, because it's going north.
No, I thought it was to the 400 north.
So it's
Yeah,
heading straight
that's
toward
right.
Temple Hill, but the corner of the elementary school, like,
400 Avenue North.
should be 200. Anyway, we can clear that up with her, but
I think the property owner lives going west though,
Okay.
right, so.
Yeah, she does.
And that's we'd have to get more detail on what
She
exactly.
lives
they're
on
referring to.
400 west, right? So maybe she's talking about 100
No.
north, 400 west, and not 100 west,
I
400
don't think
north.
she's talking about where she lives. I think she's talking about the road going north. That's 200.
Well, there's sidewalks going
West.
north.
You know, sidewalks going where
First
there's no
stretch.
sidewalks
Yeah, I
going the
think
other
I
she
don't know what
might
she
have been
means, but
talking
that
on the way to
sideways-
her house, I really don't know.
And there's sidewalks going west to a point, but at the new one, if it is going west at Bridge Crossing, there isn't sidewalks
There's
on
no
either
sidewalks
side
there.
from that point on. But going north, there is at least a
Two
block or
blocks,
so.
I think.
Yeah.
I think there is at least one block. I think there's only one block.
Either way, I mean, the point I think is she feels that there's a safety concern and there needs to be either a reduction in speed versus, or the installation of sidewalks. And I mean, this was brought to your attention, you can direct us to look into it administratively. If we had a situation like this previously a few months ago where a resident complained about safety, and we brought our mobile speed signs there to try to bring attention to, and one of the requests was to reduce that block to 30. And recommendations coming back to council, I'm preempting this a little bit, is going to be such that there really is no valid, in my opinion, reason to do such a thing unless you're gonna do it on the community wide. Stonegate Meadows, you could make an argument because it's completely separated from the community. There's one access in, there's one access out. It's easy to differentiate and let everyone know when they're coming in that there's a different speeds restriction there. But for any other little street, it's hard to make that unless you have signs literally everywhere, because you can just, pull 4 left turns and you're, back into a different street. And so it's a way to, it's gonna make it far more confusing. A lot of Raymond is very wide roads compared to any other urban area. And if kids are walking along the side of the road, they're still visible, right? And
So
it's a tricky thing. There's gonna be at least one parent on every block that wants a 30-kilometer-per-hour street sign.
There is.
And
where
it's not
are
feasible.
the school zone signs? I mean, I know we have them going north and south, but do we have them going east and west?
100
Yes.
north and Highway 52 from 200 west to Broadway roughly is a school zone. And then,
But do we
in
have
front of
them going
Victoria's-
down that road, that,
Not past
No.
200 west, no.
No.
okay.
And I don't think you could make an argument that that's a school zone.
Yeah,
Or sorry, 100 north, sorry, past
Well,
100.
there is sidewalks starting on the next block from her, right?
There is
Yeah.
sidewalks to a point, but in fairness, they don't go the whole way through.
No, they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
But we have lots of streets like that too.
Correct. And so I think council, if they do want to start going down this route, I mean, we have a 2008 transportation master plan that's, it's a bit outdated, and we're requesting tender prices to see what the cost would be to update it, because we have grown substantially since that was first completed. And based on the reports from, national and international traffic counting standards, the town of Raymond has 2 locations in the town of Raymond that, based on their standards versus volume and flow, we require any form of traffic control, and their recommendation is a stop sign. So at Highway 52 and Broadway, there could be a 4-way stop, and at another location, there could be a 4-way stop. And based on traffic volumes, there is no other location in town, even in the projected scenarios of going 20 years out into 2028, that even requires a stop sign. And so is that practical? No. There's local realities we do get to work through. But I do think that it's a philosophical discussion council needs to have of how they want to monitor traffic flow. It needs to be all or nothing, because otherwise you make it far too confusing, and it's a difficult
If it's not a school
way.
zone or a playground zone, then it shouldn't be, there shouldn't be a different speed limit on every street that you drive down. It is confusing.
So, to make it non-confusing, if we switch, it's gotta be like Airdrie, where everything's 40 kilometers in the whole city, except for the industrial area. Like all residential area is 40 kilometers.
Nanton too.
Yeah,
And
Nanton's
Nanton.
recently switched to 40.
Yeah, so
All or nothing.
you'd have to do, that's what you, is that what you mean by all or nothing?
Pretty much. There's
Pretty
pros
much.
and cons to both. You're definitely going to have strong opinions on both sides of that argument. But I don't think it's wise to give individual preference to individual blocks, because it's just going to
I
be too
agree.
confusing.
But we could ask, the police officers, if there really are automobiles regularly traveling in excess of the town limit down that road, we could ask them to, have a presence there for a while too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
for sure. And that's where they should be going if
On
they're,
schools, are they actually, like, I thought we got rid of school zones, they're all playground zones.
no, they're school zones.
Cause they all have playground zone signs up. They don't have school zone signs up.
I'd honestly have to look, Councilor Hagee, I'm not
Cause
sure.
that makes a difference, cause school zone is from 8 till 4:30, and playground is an hour before sunup to an hour
I think
After
there's
sundown.
school zones. I think we've had this discussion in past councils. If you have them as playground zones, then yeah, you're gonna have a lot more.
Well, I just noticed that the
fines.
signs around the school are playground zone signs, they're not school
I
zone.
didn't think they were, I thought they were.
There are school zone signs.
I thought they were
Are
school
there?
zones.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's going down
That's-
52, but the other ones are,
Inconsistent.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kinda like we got both kinds of signs up. So is it school zone or is it playground zone?
Good question.
I don't know.
I would just drive 30 kilometers per hour past there anyway.
At midnight?
Yes.
That's what I
You
Just-
don't
did
to
have
be
to hit a
safe.
bump that'll ruin your car.
Yeah.
on that side, yeah. Okay, well, anyway, on this, on Mary Ann Kittles, maybe you should need to talk to her a little bit more, but, we can bring it back to us too. We can have a discussion about it on a committee.
So you'd like to table this to committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor.
Yeah, Counselor Foss?
I was just gonna say, there are two items on here that, highlight the potential to move those, speed signs. Two items in correspondence, the one being this, maybe this is a neighborhood where we move those, radar detecting signs. The other one being the speed change on 52, which we've all been waiting for. It looks like is in place now, and that's probably another case to where we put one out that way.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I was just gonna bring that up. The other is that correspondence of, Highway 52 speed zone change. Isn't that great? We've been after that for quite a few years. Finally, it's happened. So yeah, maybe Councillor Foss is right. Maybe one of those signs should be going there as people come into Raymond. Let them know. I saw on TV last night, the Lethbridge is starting to ticket now for the people parking downtown during COVID. They got rid of those and now they're just giving them a 2 weeks grace period, so we need to have a grace period on something like this too. They need to be giving them a warning, not just giving them a ticket when they're coming in.
Yeah, because people that are on that road all the time, they wouldn't even notice if there was a new sign. They wouldn't notice it,
And
right?
that's why we need to have that sign up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, good point, Councillor Foss. That's something we've been after for a long time, so that's.
I'm glad it's
great to
happening
see.
though.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. There's just gonna be more and more traffic going out to that.
There will be naysayers, I'm sure, but.
I'm sure there will be too.
Oh, we already know there are.
TWO? I'm sure there will be too.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the other correspondents? Okay, if not, we need a motion to accept correspondence.
I'll move.
Councillor Hagee moves, and all in favor? Okay, that's good. Now we need a motion to go into closed.
Move to go into closed session.
Councillor Harker makes that motion, all in favor? Okay,
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
thanks for coming.
I just wanna know who anybody read
Adjourn.
Counselor Harker moves to adjourn. All in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks a
A
lot.
good time was had by all.
Mhm.